Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start inlaying this ring. Well, as you do this, you want to rotate the wooden dowel with your one hand, while the other is putting the opal inside the inlay channel. Then you're going to continue inlaying the ring just as you would any other ring. Here I'm doing a layering technique with the color pigments, and this will better allow you to have multiple colors within your ring. Then you just simply want to wet it and continue putting in the colors. This is a little bit more tricky since you only do have the one hand to do it, but it is totally doable. Then you're just going to spray it with the accelerator. Now we're just going to let this cure for a bit while we set up our Dremel. Now this ring has opal, so it's fairly easy to Dremel down, but other hard materials are going to be a little bit, well, hard and a lot more difficult to Dremel down. So you want to make sure that you're holding the wooden dowel firmly so it's not moving too much. I had it glued down to this other piece of cardboard and it kind of helped a little bit. And you just want to keep rotating that ring as you go along and slowly Dremel down the full circumference of the ring. Now we have the ring. Now we have the inlay flush with the ring. And honestly, the process was just about as simple as it would be if you did it on a lathe. It's just a little bit more tricky because you do only have one hand and the other while it rotates. But yeah, this is looking good. Next I'm going to take a razor blade onto bevels, which I wasn't able to get with the Dremel, and the razor blade cuts it off fairly easily. Now I'm just going to fill in a few holes that were left over by the Dremel. I like to run my finger over it to make sure that it is packed down into those holes well. Then you can go ahead and fill it in with the CA and Dremel that down again. Here I'm using a 600 grit Dremel drum, and that way the next sanding step isn't as difficult as it would be if you used a more coarse drum. Then I'm just going to rotate it and do one more little check and make sure there's no holes or bubbles, or really anything else you need to fix. And now we're just going to go ahead and start wet sanding. And while you do this, you want to make sure you are careful with the water. Make sure you don't get the cardboard too wet, of course. There are a few ways that you can do this, but I like to have someone hold the dowel as I put in some work with the sandpaper. This is going to take quite a bit of time, or at least a lot longer than it would with a lathe, since you're not able to move at such a high speed as a lathe would. But just take your time slowly through the grits and it'll look just as good. Again, just as you would on a lathe, make sure to use plenty of water and just move up through about 220 to 1000 grit sandpaper. And from here, all that we need to do now is polish up our ring. And to do that, I'm going to use our Patrick Adair Supplies ring polish, step 1 and 2. Now in this method, you can use a Dremel polish wheel, and that seems to do the trick really well. And now we have our finished ring. It's looking really good actually, just as good as it would, I think, if I did it on a lathe. And I'm really impressed with how it turned out.